Hello, and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Martin O'Neill. At the Bloomington City Council meeting on October 12th, the Council discussed the city budget for 2023. First, they voted to approve the ordinance to establish salaries for Bloomington police and fire personnel. Councilmember Isabel Piedmont-Smith asked what the pay rate increase will be after the police and fire union agreements. Human Resources Director Caroline Shaw responded.
In the fire department, the contract that is currently in place will give them a 2% increase in 2023. And in the police department, as you know, you ratified a contract on May 18th of this year, and Mike Rooker, our city attorney, went through those details of that contract in very good detail. That contract raises this has not happened until January 1st of this coming year. That contract will raise the rate for senior police officers by 12.67%. and officers first class by 13.17%. That doesn't include a lot of other additional pay they will receive in 2023.
The Council unanimously voted to approve the ordinance to establish the salaries. However, the Council was not able to ensure an increase in salary for city employees who are part of the AFSCME, the Public Services Employee Union. Shaw summarized the ordinance to establish the salaries for employees in all of the other departments of the city, including both non-union and union employees. She said the Office of the Mayor is still negotiating with the union and will make an amendment to the budget once the decision is finalized.
The administration has budgeted a 5% increase for civil city salaries in 2023 and also two $500 payments for eligible employees. Finally, as you know, we're in contract negotiations still with the AFSCME union, and we hope to have a contract in place by the end of this year, and I'll be back before you to change the ordinance when that happens.
Councilmember Dave Rillo asked for updates on negotiation with the AFSCME union employees. Corporation Counsel Beth Kate said that they set up meetings with the union and plan to reach an agreement by mid-November.
So negotiations are ongoing. We have sent a number of dates to the union for further negotiation sessions in October and November. And actually, I believe today those dates just went on the calendars of everyone. They were on our calendars already. My understanding is that the union will be able to meet during those times too. So that's where we're at right now. Okay.
When do you think you might conclude those negotiations?
Well, I'm hoping to conclude them by before I go away on a vacation in November, mid-November, but that's the plan, is to try to get it done in the dates that we have set up.
During public comment, AFSCME employee Steve Robertson asked the Council to help guarantee AFSCME employees have a reasonable wage. He warned that if they don't pay their workers enough, they will be forced to quit.
We don't have too many employees left. They're whittling down quite a few, and the wages, and without a contract right now, we've got people that don't know what their future is or what beholds for them in the city. And we're trying to get a contract, but we're having a hard time getting things squared away. But hopefully, the next time we come back here, we can say we have one. That would be a praise, you know. But with the budget there's a lot of money in that budget, and I would like to see a budget one time just for the employees. There's millions of dollars in this budget, and it goes for a lot of other stuff. And it don't go for the employees. It needs to take care of the employees. One thing in the budget, going to give city employees at Town Hall $500 not to drive their car to work. I have to scrape to even find gas money, you know. I don't quite understand that, what the purpose of that reason is. But you know, we would like the council to send a message to the mayor on the wages. I know that Rollo has talked about he didn't think the 5% was enough. I don't know if you got your message across or not. I don't have no idea. But if they're not going to listen to us and they're not going to listen to you, I guess we're going to get what we get, you know. That's the way I kind of look at it. I don't know what's going on there. But he likes to spend a lot of money on beautifying the city of Bloomington, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But his campaign speech is going to be, look what I did for Bloomington, but it cost me all my employees to get it done. And Bloomington will look nice for a long period of time until the trash, the streets, the sewage, the water, all that don't work no more because guess what? We have no employees to take care of this. So what good is a good-looking city when you ain't got nobody to take care of it? And I think that we need to really stress to you guys that you need to really send a message to them, let them know that we need more money because we're losing 3 more people Friday from utilities. And they're leaving. And we don't have enough people hardly to do the job. And the people that are there are wore out, not getting compensated for their extra time.
Councilmember Matt Flaherty explained further why the council does not have the authority to intervene on their contract, but he outlined what they can do to help.
I worry that we need to get to a place where you all are satisfied with the contract, that's arranged, because for all the reasons you've stated, we only are harming ourselves if we can't retain employees. But when it comes to collective bargaining, there's a very prescribed process and limited role that we can play. The collective bargaining units of AFSCME and of the city are well defined. The council does not have a role or a place in that, at least in terms of negotiations. Where we do have a place is in approving a salary ordinance update that would reflect any agreement. And I think we've made clear through past meetings that there's no question that the funds are available for the coming year to appropriate any agreement that is reached between AFSCME and the city of Bloomington. So the money in terms of appropriations for next year's salaries, any cost of living adjustments, one-time fees, anything like that is absolutely available and can be covered. And no doubt this council would approve any salary ordinance update that the AFSCME union signed and agreed to. I think Councilmember Rallo also brings up a good point that if it doesn't get to a place post-negotiation where the council is satisfied with where we are either, we may increasingly be involved in other ways of trying to make sure that we get to where we need to with respect to employee retention and compensation. I don't want to leave out non-union employees out of this conversation entirely because I think there's an important element there too. The council actually received an anonymous U report from what I assume to be a non-union employee at the city of Bloomington earlier today, concerned about the same things you all are, not being able to afford to live here, concerned about even inequities with things like the payment assistance programs that are available to some employees, but not others at the city of Bloomington, concerned about not having a representative in the union. So there are limits to every type of employee in terms of what you can negotiate and bargain for, and the processes are imperfect, and so we're left, dealing with that at some level. I noted last time we talked that, again, any contract that's agreed to, we would then be contractually bound in future years to appropriate adequate funds. And if that means cutting other programs or whatever it is to meet that commitment, that's what will be done. Once the agreement is in place, there's no question that it will be covered. It's not like any appropriations in this year's budget will somehow limit or make that not possible. I think the one last thing I'll say is that I think I have interest in continuing to dig more deeply into benchmarking our salaries and competitiveness with surrounding governmental units and private sector. We've heard anecdotes to that effect. I've heard that from city staff at times too, that we used to take employees from the county, so to speak. They would come from the county to the city, and that's going the other direction more commonly now, and things like that. So that to say, again, like my colleagues, concerned about retention, looking in the coming year to get more information, more quantitative data about those retention challenges, about salary competitiveness, benchmarking, also gender and racial pay equity considerations, and just making sure that we're really digging into the weeds of those issues so that we can, positively affect them where possible. And that's it for me. Thank you.
The council voted unanimously to approve the salary ordinance. And we'll have more from CATSweek right after this.
I'm at risk of thinking there's just no point in trying.
risk of looking in the mirror and hating what I see.
I'm at risk of regretting what I do, just to join the crowd.
I'm at risk of being told not to tell. And you would never know it by looking at me. But with Girls Inc. in my corner, there for me every day, believing in me,
Showing me what's possible.
I can be strong enough to respect myself and my body.
To say I can rather than I can't.
To say no with no apology.
To be a leader.
To finish school.
To own my future.
Welcome back to CATSweek. The Monroe County Commissioners read a statement regarding their interactions with the Mayor's office about the Monroe County Convention Center. Commissioners Penny Githens, Lee Jones, and Julie Thomas each spoke respectively.
At an August 31st meeting to discuss the convention center, which the mayor did not attend in person, a deadline was created by the mayor's office to respond to a proposal to take over the convention center. The deadline was not tied to any reasonable related issue or impact related to the calendar and or concerns about the state legislature. We are disappointed and dismayed at the actions of the mayor's office. At that August 31st meeting, the group decided to meet again. The poll that was emailed to all meeting participants, emailed to all meeting participants, but a date amenable to everyone was not agreed upon. A subsequent poll was issued with later calendar dates and times included. The mayor's office did not respond to the poll. When a date was identified when everyone else could attend, our office contacted Ms. Carmichael via telephone. She declined to respond and noted in an email message that we had missed the quote deadline unquote, so she would not be meeting with us.
We don't see any evidence of collaboration. We were informed by Ms. Carmichael, representative of the mayor's office, at the August 31st meeting that the option of a CIB was unilaterally off the table, and the city administration would only support pursuing the project alone using a 5013C structure. A 501c3 is not transparent. There is no requirement for public meetings, public comment, or public input. With the potential inclusion of food and beverage tax dollars to fund this project, we do not believe that this is appropriate. In addition, a publicly held convention center has tort claim protection that a 501c3 entity does not.
So in sum, we have worked over many years with the city to develop plans for a capital improvement board or CIB. And when the COVID crisis began, of course, the convention center project was no longer a priority. The mayor's office and the Chamber of Commerce recently revived the project, and it may be that the city administration sought this outcome all along. We have no way of knowing that, but we are not giving up. We believe it would be beneficial to organize the next meeting in good faith. We will invite the city council, county council, and the mayor to attend. If the mayor's office chooses not to attend, we will still hold the meeting. And this will be an opportunity for all of us who are interested in pursuing a collaborative approach to consider all of our viable options.
Later, Health Department Director Lori Kelly informed the commissioners about COVID-19 in the county and on the mobile vaccination unit.
So just a few updates. We are tracking numerous variants of the virus that causes COVID. The primary variant at this time still remains to be Omicron. We are continuing to track the subvariant BF7. Its prevalence has doubled in the United States over the past 2 weeks. BF7 symptoms are similar to the original variant. This includes sore throat, congestion, fatigue, cough, and runny nose. The health department has free home tests available. The public health clinic has vaccines available. Appointments can be made by calling 812-353-3244. In addition, we are currently working with the state of Indiana to set up a mobile vaccination unit. So we hope to know more about those dates here soon.
Thomas says she was glad to hear there would be a mobile clinic and thanked Kelly for keeping them up to date on the spread of the new variants.
Thank you for that information. We really appreciate it. We're seeing different variants popping up around the world and in significant numbers. And so for those who are eligible, it would be great to get boosted.
The commissioners' meeting on October 19th was cancelled. Their next meeting will be held on October 26th. At the Bloomington Board of Public Works meeting on October 11th, Assistant Director of Planning and Transportation, Beth Rosenbacher, asked the board to approve a contract with Tool Design Group for a corridor study of the College and Walnut Streets.
To make this contract, we issued a request for information that was out for approximately 6 weeks, or open for about 6 weeks. We received 7 submittals. We reviewed those submittals using the rubric that we included in the RFI, and then proceeded to interview 2 firms. And from that process, we selected Tool Design Group for this contract.
Board President Kyla Cox-Deckard asked a few questions regarding Tool's involvement in the transportation study. Rosenbacher explained that Tool did include the corridor in their study. However, the Plan Commission has since changed what it is looking for.
I can answer how we're handling it, and in terms of what we've outlined in the process and in the contract. We're working from a goals-based design. So as a community and in the transportation plan, there's a list of things that we want to achieve by doing a corridor study and a conceptual design of our streets. So we want to bring people together and talk about, if we look at different design options, how do each of those measure up to these goals and to what we want to achieve as a community. So our focus is on how can a design get to the outcomes we want to see for these streets as a community.
Were those the same goals that they were working from during the transportation plan?
I would say they're generally similar because it's based on the comprehensive plan. So the comprehensive plan has set goals for transportation in our community. Obviously, that's a plan that is reviewed and voted on by the Plan Commission and then City Council, and the transportation plan is the same. So Tool Design did make a recommendation for College and Walnut, and that recommendation was changed by the Plan Commission. And the Plan Commission drafted and wrote the goals for a corridor study to achieve.
Rosenbacher addressed Cox-Deckard's concerns about using Tool for the study and explained that they would be working with different staff members than before to come up with a variety of options and to engage with the community.
Sure. I mean, I don't have a number offhand. Like, there are over 100 people who work for that company, but I don't know the exact number. We are working with different people and different professionals, and I think they are professionals who specialize in street design and in achieving goals and values through street design. I think there's no, that doesn't mean it has to happen one way. So I think if there's a concern that there's only, because this is the firm that did the transportation plan, there's only one answer, we don't think there's only one answer. We think we want to explore the options, have a community conversation, and look at our goals as a community and different ways to achieve those goals. So I think we feel confident in our ability to lead that and in their ability to lead that from their perspective as kind of transportation professionals, engineers, and designers.
Cox-Deckard said she would have preferred if a Tool Design Group representative was present, and said she would abstain from the vote since she was not able to attend the previous work session. The board voted to approve the contract with Tool with 2 votes in favor and Cox-Deckard's abstention. At the October 11th meeting of the Monroe County Council, Attorney Jeff Cockrell updated the council on an ordinance to purchase land for the new jail.
There as well, I will say last night we had the first hearing at the City Plan Commission. They had some questions, of course. This is a big question, big topic, and we're going to have the second hearing on that on November 14th. At last night's meeting, and I hope this came out at the CJRC meeting before, I'm working with David Gardner, who does our maintenance at the current justice facility, to get some of the grass there trimmed down and have council, elected officials, that the CJRC, and this anybody from the city who wants to come to just kind of go out and look at the property. I think that will help answer a lot of questions people have. I know it's not directly related to the ban question before you, but I thought that would be a pretty good update for you guys to have. But again, if you have any questions, something that wasn't clear last time, I'm more than happy to answer.
Councilmember Trent Deckard asked Cockrell what would happen if the council did not act on purchasing the property.
But my question is, if, just hypothetical, somebody watching at home or us watching here, if we would not do anything, let's say we just say, I'm going to sit on this, I'm not going to do anything for a long, long time, there is a possibility that the courts or someone not from this county picks how this works for this county, this community. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and that's actually happened in Vigo County. I think that's one of the things we want to avoid. I also think we want to avoid what has been in our report, which is not being able to provide a constitutional level of care for the people in our custody. I think that's the result of not addressing that unconstitutionality concern, is that it will go to the courts and they will correct it, and we won't have as much ability to determine how that correction occurs.
Cockrell replied that downtown real estate is hard to come by, and he doesn't believe there is enough downtown space available to construct a new facility.
We started looking at downtown, right? When we first started looking for property, we started looking downtown. And I said this at the Plan Commission meeting last night, 10 years ago, when we were thinking about this, and, we have the Thompson site, but I had just toured the Martinsville facility, the Morgan County Jail, and they're on about they were on at that point in time 6 to 7 acres. I don't know what it is now. I don't know if it's changed or anything like that. Really, the only vacant spot outside of Thompson, which Commissioner Hawk had referenced earlier, was the scrapyard. The only downtown spot was basically the old scrapyard, and that had a very irregular shape. And I'm like, I don't even know if that would work. There just isn't that kind of space downtown. I mean, when people say, well, we would rather have it downtown, I'm like, well, of course we would. Yeah. But we just don't have that space available.
The council passed the ordinance 6-1 with Councilmember Hawk voting no. And we'll have more from CATSweek right after this.
For hurting families in Monroe County.
A contribution to children who are vulnerable and in need of an advocate.
A staff that goes above and beyond to support and advocate for children in need of services.
The web of remarkable people who are dealing with difficult situations.
So many young people that are in need of help and trying to find a stable family, a stable place to live. Without the causes to make that happen, many of them would be unable to find a good home.
I love being that voice for the child who can't speak for themselves in court.
Welcome back to CATSweek. The Ellettsville Town Council approved the 2023 budget at their meeting on October 10th. During public comment, Ellettsville resident Steve Robertson spoke in favor of raising salaries of government workers in the 2023 budget. Robertson explained that skilled workers needed to be retained.
Looking at your budget, looks like your administration's interested in giving your employees a decent raise. And I appreciate that because they know the importance of keeping employees and keeping reliable employees. I'm at a workforce right now, we're losing employees and we're struggling to try to keep them. And it's highly unlikely that administration comes through and wants to offer their employees a raise to keep them because they know the importance to keep the city services running smoothly as they possibly can without any disruption and have qualified people, like when you have a main break at 3 o'clock in the morning and everybody's in bed asleep drinking coffee, and the next morning they expect when they turn on that water, they want to have water for their coffee. And I think that the town board ought to take that in consideration of the raises to keep the employees. Because there's nobody out there, I mean, you can hire people to take a place, but you don't have the quality that they got to do the job. You can get anybody out there that's breathing to fill the position. But if they can't do the work, you might as well not even have them. You might as well have an empty place. So I highly recommend the board take in consideration what the administration is telling you about keeping their employees at this time. Before you pass the budget, you look it over and agree to it. Thank you.
The board approved the 2023 budget with a vote of 3-1, with Council Member Dan Swafford dissenting. At the Bloomington Utility Service Board meeting on October 10th, President of the board, Jeff Amon, asked about an item on the agenda regarding sump pumps. Utilities engineer Phil Peden responded.
Yeah, so this is part of the Clearwater Reduction Program, and we went out and canvassed neighborhoods along with letters trying to locate sump pumps, and this was where customers reached out to us and notified us they did have a sump pump. We had commercial services was contracted to go in, locate the sump pump, and then determine if it needed to be disconnected or not, and then they provided us with a suggestion on how to reroute that so it's not connected to the sanitary sewer. So this was, I think, I'm not sure which invoice this was but I think there's still money left on that contract as part of that.
Next, Capital Projects Manager Dan Hudson shared they received one bid on the Monroe Waste Treatment Plant Filter Media Rehabilitation Project. Hudson explained what the project would finance.
The base bid, first of all, the base bid includes filter media replacement of any need under drains. It also includes a air handling system and repairing the ceiling with structural repairs and all new electrical and lights. That's the base bid. The first deduct takes out the HVAC system and puts in a different HVAC system that should be cheaper to do if we want to go that direction. The second deduct takes out all the HVAC and does not include any air handling.
Hudson said the Utilities Department staff will consider the bid and come back with a recommendation at the next meeting on October 24th. And that's all for CATSweek. Thanks for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Martin O'Neill.